In today's episode of Restoration Conversations, we're here at Il Palmerino, which is a 15th century watchtower turned country estate turned cultural association, and I'm delighted to be in the company of Federica Parretti, who will be our guest and host today.
Thank you, Linda. I'm also very pleased to be here with you in this interview.
Thank you so much, Federico. We're actually here in the hills of Tuscany, the last house of Florence, and it's a really special house. We're in the venue's exhibition space, and around you'll see different paintings by Flavia Arlotta, who's a 20th century artist, but I don't actually want to start with Flavia. I'd like to start with the two women who really have created the identity of the place, particularly in the 20th century. Palmerino has a multi-century history, we know.
Yes.
But why don't we start, Federico, with Vernon Lee?
Yes, Vernon Lee arrived in Palmerino in 1889. She came here with her family, and she's a British author. And the family was nomadic because they travel since she born.
They were nomadic.
Yes,
Yeah.
nomadic, yes. And she born in France, but they always travel. And they choose Palmerino, and in a letter to a friend of hers, she say, "I love my sgangherata casa."
Which is her dilapidated house?
A little bit,
house?
yes, my
Yeah.
old house.
Your old house.
And then it was nice because she asked friends to help her to rebuild the garden and plant bulb that come from England. The rose that we saw in the garden, that is the rose of English rose.
Absolutely.
We call her Vernon Lee rose.
Just to give her a timeline, she's called a Victorian author. She was, in fact, a generation before the Bloomsbury crowd. And I wanted to talk a little bit about her salotto, or her salon, her literary salon. Really the creme de la creme of international personalities living in Florence at the time would come to network in Vernon Lee's salon, and I'm thinking of Henry James, of Edith Wharton, of Oscar Wilde, a little bit later Virginia Woolf. And so tell us a little bit about Vernon Lee's salon, what she was trying to do, what it would have looked like.
Yes, you mentioned the more, I think, famous, but there is so many people that at that time were very relevant in Europe. And the aspect that is interesting is the fact that at that time Florence was really the center of the world. Everybody was here.
Right.
And Vernon Lee was, because she knew 5 languages. Imagine at that time what this means. She was really a center of communication, let's say, to the community, the foreign community in Florence.
Right.
And she was able to connect people. And
I was thinking of Edith Wharton, and Edith Wharton wanted to write her very famous book on gardens, Tuscan gardens, and
that is dedicated to her.
Right. And Vernon Lee made the connection.
Made the connection, opened the door of many gardens and villas in Italy, because she was really in this important circle.
About Il Palmerino's garden. And the reason I'm so interested in the garden as a space is because we remember in this time Virginia Woolf is writing about a space of a room of one's own, right? And I feel like Palmerino has had that function for many women over the past several decades, a garden of one's own.
My grandmother, Lola Costa, she arrived here, and in her diary, you remember, maybe you read it, that she got in the property the first day that the agency bring her to see the property.
Yeah.
And she say, I even didn't see the house inside. I just look at the garden and see this flower that remind me my country, because she also was English, and that was my house.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Lola Costa, right, who is your grandmother,
Yes.
came to Il Palmerino in 1935.
Esatto.
Okay, with her growing family, with her husband, also a painter, Federigo Angeli.
Federigo Angeli, a known painter.
Yeah, he had a level of fame.
Successful.
No? And he trained Lola for a period. No?
Yes.
He was her.
Yes, but first Lola came to Florence to teach him English.
Yes.
Because he need to learn the language for the client overseas.
Yeah, he had international clients. International. He was selling paintings.
Esatto, painting, working in Florida, so all this.
Yes.
And so she came for him in reality, but just to be a teacher, and then she became the wife.
But their dialogue ended up being a painting dialogue.
Absolutely.
Right? They started to, one of the first things they did was create a studio here.
They create a studio here upstairs.
Upstairs, okay.
And they paint together. They used to paint the same subject. Yeah. And then you see a lot this with the children, their children. So they model for them.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you see one that is taken from the front and the other take from the side, and also some natura morta, some still life. Still
life paintings. Yeah, still lifes were very, very common among women artists since the 1600s onwards.
Absolutely, Garzoni.
From Garzoni to Arlotta, right?
Absolutely.
But I think it's interesting. I just wanted to talk for a moment about Lola's style. Because in their art dialogue between Federigo and Lola, he was very, let's say, traditional, very realist.
Academic.
A lot of Renaissance influence.
Absolutely.
And she was much more influenced by
Impressionists.
The Impressionists, French currents.
Yes.
Even more open, I would say, to European movements than her husband.
Yes, well, allora, there is two factors that Lola has training that start in France, and also an education, international education. She was in Paris in the 20s.
I want to interrupt you because I want to take us into the archive. I know that the British Institute of Florence has part of Vernon Lee's library, a substantial part of Vernon Lee's library, and part of her archive. And with the project that we're doing together with the Calliope Arts Foundation, Lola's archive will soon become part of that collection in the British Institute of Florence. But you and several young scholars are working to really develop Lola's archive. And so what do we see in the archive? What do we learn about Lola?
Well, the archive is very rich. There is photography, and we have documents as correspondence, poetry, because also she wrote poetry, so her manuscript, and then we have a lot of watercolor.
A lot of watercolors.
Yes.
And drawings as well?
And drawings,
okay.
Yes, and block drawings.
Oh, so notebooks.
Notebooks. It's important, the archive, because it gives us a lot of answer, but it's also a beautiful way to transmit the history, the legacy, not only this, I think also the love that we have for art and for the beauty.
I think also because the space too is so rich, right? They can in some way connect to it. You think of Lola coming, she was a city girl from England, she came to Palmerino, she begins painting in front of the farm workers, etc., and starts painting the farm workers. Yeah. Because Palmerino is and continues to be a working farm. It has its wine, it has its olive oil. I mean, and she was very interested interested in protecting the estate, right, and maintaining the estate through the war
All the
years
time.
and difficult times.
All the
But I
time.
think young people who are still seeing these seasons, right, seasons in nature, but also seasons in art with the shows that you put on periodically, the concerts and the events, and the new artists that are working here. It's a really dynamic environment, and that's something that we really want to share with our viewers, is that Palmerino, although it's a place of legacy, it's also a continuance of creativity.
Esatto, yes. This is what we would like to do. So to understand what happened here in the past and have the possibility to renovate this tradition in the now, in the moment,
Absolutely.
in the present. So this is why we opened Palmerino to artists.
Yes.
And there is more and more so that are coming.
I mean, you are in some way, you know, taking on that responsibility of keeping the estate alive physically and culturally.
Yes, I think I follow a little bit the wish of my aunt Beatrice and my mother Fiorenza. So it's a line of women in a way that just want to honorate the tradition. But it's fantastic because we see the creativity is still here, and inspiration, and so many different ways to see the place.
Absolutely.
Through the eyes of many artists.
I think that's where we can end the conversation. I mean, it really is a place of one's own, and that is not just, it's not just something that belongs to you, it's something that you have really shared with many of the members of our audience. You know, a lot of people who are watching have been here, etc. And those who have not yet been here will certainly come to visit, right?
Yes.
That's our hope, to bring this female legacy to the fore.